I've seen Taiwan go from not knowing much about the world. When they look at things, they look at it holistically. Many people's lives have been changed dramatically. Many people's hearts have been opened. It's like a decency. It's like being really decent, appreciating its own culture and its own cultural roots. It's very hard once you're an adult to be able to go deeply into the treasure trove, and that would be a shame for that to be lost. And I do lots of things. That's a big question. My name is Pia, Pia Giamasi, and my Chinese name is Ji Yayun. I grew up in the United States. I was born in Italy and I grew up in the US. I've been living in different places in Asia, but the longest time altogether is in Taiwan. And I do lots of things. That's a big question.
You mentioned you did a lot of different things. What are some of the things that you did here in Taiwan?
In those days, in the early days, I was teaching English for my living, but I learned different kinds of martial arts, and I met lots of amazing people, and they introduced me to, like, for example, Baguazhang, and the I Ching, and Chinese medicine, and all of these deep, deep parts of the culture that I wanted to have more knowledge of.
So you learned about the Chinese medicine?
Yes, I did. Not in Taiwan. I went to school for that in mainland China, in Xiamen. So I did a degree in Chinese medicine and acupuncture.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. I've done some project management. So I worked for a big company that we created a whole bunch of learning tools for children. And that was a lot of fun because we got to film videos and we made these talking cards. So I had to work with all different kinds of artists. I got hired for that because they're like, you're a Buddhist and you're very calm. You can deal with all of these different artists who have unique personalities and their own times. So they hired me to be able to take over this project, to spearhead this project. And I had to work with lots of artists. I worked for something called ICA, the Institute of Cultural Affairs, and we brought different kinds of technologies of communication to Taiwan, bringing these different kinds of effective communication into large companies and middle-sized companies and small, and also I helped to start and also run a foundation that helps children throughout Asia. So people in Taiwan sponsor kids in Asia, and so that those tools of communication help to make our foundation a very healthy organization, and it's close to 30 now.
How long have you been in Taiwan?
Off and on since the 1980s. A very long time. So I've seen a lot of changes in Taiwan.
Why do you decide to come to Taiwan?
There's a lot of things in Chinese culture that I was interested in, especially Buddhism. I was interested in martial arts, just kind of like the mysterious things of life.
Taiwan is a small part of the Asian, or say the Chinese culture.
Yes.
Why Taiwan, not China?
Well, at that time, mainland China was not really open. I had first thought to go to Japan because I knew about Zen, but I met a few people from Taiwan when I was in university, and I thought, these people are so lovely. Taiwan must be a wonderful country. The intellectuals, the artists, all these, the martial art artists, and all these people came over from mainland China with the culture, with Chinese culture. So it's a wonderful place to be able to really go deep into Chinese culture. I mean, now of course you can go into mainland China much more easily, and so you can go there too. So, but at the time, Taiwan was very easy and more accessible.
Fast forward now, what do you do now?
So now I teach different kinds of spiritual classes. Some of them are, like meditation classes or Buddhist, or things in which I use my Buddhist knowledge, but I have kind of synthesized it and have made it accessible for just anybody in different kinds of classes. And I do a lot of work with sound healing, sound and vibrational healing. And in the 2005, when I was in Germany, I was able to study the monochord, and I had a sound healing teacher who was amazing. She's a wonderful teacher, Teresa Mia Navarro. She taught me the big monochord, which is right behind me, and also voice healing and a little bit of sound healing theory. She was living with us at the temple. I lived in a Buddhist temple for a while. So
you learned about the religion, and you know about this spiritual healing, and you also learned about traditional medicine.
Yes.
What is the correlation between these different ideologies?
I think all of them take when they look at things, they look at it holistically. So rather than separating out, separating the self from the universe, or separating the heart from the liver and from they don't look at things in terms of, in Chinese medicine, specific physical organs. They look at it as groups of functions, and how these different groups, like one group of functions has to do with your digestive system, and that includes different physical parts. It's like they look at the web of life. It goes through Buddhism and also in sound healing as well. I feel that they really uphold and support each other, and as when you go more, the deeper you go into your meditation and working on cultivating your mind, cultivating your compassion and your wisdom, then the more peaceful you are to be able to hold a sacred healing space.
Some will say we are in a modern era with all the technology and the modern medicine. Why should somebody do this?
Comes full circle. It brings things back to a very deep understanding of the universe and about life and about existence. Mm-hmm. People draw lines or feel like there should be a distinction between different things, whereas it has its religious aspect, but it's a very deeply personal spiritual path. It has many tools to be able to help you go beyond into looking for what is the essence.
Being here this long, can you speak Chinese?
Oh yes. I also do translation.
Wow, so you can read and write and speak.
Yes.
How do you learn to speak Chinese?
Just being in the environment and listening, and not having English speakers around, so total immersion basically. I mean, I did learn a little bit before coming to Taiwan when I was in my last year of university.
So you translate from English to Chinese?
Yes, I translate some Buddhist books by my teacher, Master Nan Huaijin.
Wow, interesting. How is it like living in Taiwan as a foreigner in general?
Oh, because I speak Chinese, so it's a lot easier for me than for people who are not yet immersed in Chinese. But I mean, Taiwanese people, if you have to do anything official, people will bend over backwards to try to help you, because they recognize that Chinese is a very difficult language, and the written and the spoken, you can't sound out the language. Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if you speak, you may not be able to read, and they understand, and people are very willing to help you in all kinds of situations.
Fully integrated into the society or in the culture, how do Taiwanese see you?
It's really interesting when I speak Chinese. If I'm among kindergartners or little kids, if I go into, they will at some point, they're like, "You look a little bit different. I think are you Chinese? Are you not Chinese?" It's very sweet.
Mm-hmm. How is Taiwan of old compared to Taiwan of now?
I've seen Taiwan go from not knowing much about the world to very, very quickly being able to reach many places and to go and explore in different countries, and yet still keep its central personality. it's like a decency. It's like being really decent, appreciating its own culture and its own cultural roots.
Is Taiwan doing enough to preserve this amazing, wonderful, unique culture?
The inherently Chinese parts of the education have been taken out of the public schools, from what I understand, and many parents are dismayed at this and think that it's a shame because if classical Chinese is not part of the early education, it's very hard once you're an adult to be able to go deeply into the treasure trove of the collection of Chinese literature and knowledge. So I feel that I also agree that this is a very it's unique and it's full of wisdom. Yeah, and that would be a shame for that to be lost.
The more tourists go to a country, that is tend to be more of acculturation. What's your take on this?
If people are coming here to be able to interact with different aspects, because the culture here is very rich. I mean, you have different Aboriginal cultures that are unique and wonderful and special, and you have the like the Hakka culture, and you have you know, like the Taiwanese culture, and you have more mainland style different pockets of culture, and so it's so rich. It's so rich, and you know, if tourists come, if people know, or if they're able to come and experience these different aspects of culture here, I think it will also make people a little bit more like wanting to keep their culture alive, and so that it's available and to be seen. Because when a culture is seen and appreciated, then people appreciate themselves. I think, yeah, like to be seen and appreciated is very important for everybody, for children, for emotional health, and for cultural health.
There is this study that shows that the rate of birth in Taiwan is in decline.
Yes.
Also, more foreign expats or foreign entrepreneurs are coming into Taiwan and making Taiwan their home, getting married and having children.
Yes.
These second generation children are becoming more and more and more in Taiwan. So is there a fear of Taiwan, the culture being dissolved, becoming modernized, and sort of still keeping to that culture?
I think that depends on, I think it really depends on education, depends on the, you know, like the government and what the people want. And I think, you know, mainland China is now working very hard to revive the Chinese culture there, and to go back to its roots. So I think, you know, there's always a balance where it's being eroded or being not so appreciated in one place. Then they feel like they're feeling the loss and they want to get it back. And maybe people in other countries, you know, like want to learn more about Chinese, and so many Chinese people have moved out to other countries. And so, like you said, the world is round, and the culture goes around, and it evolves, and people we learn from each other, and we try to go back to what the essence or what the valuable things are within it.
What part of Italian culture would you like to introduce to Taiwanese, or you wish Taiwanese could adopt?
The love of art, to bring art into your life. Yeah, there's like the way when you design a space, or when you put food on a plate, or when you eat, just to have a little bit of just to make it beautiful, to bring beauty. Beauty is a very important. It can raise your standard of living.
Do you have anything else to tell Taiwanese people?
Most people that come here love the country, love the people, and love the culture. Where most people who come here, and many people's lives have been changed dramatically. Many people's hearts have been opened because of how welcome Taiwanese people are. So I have seen many people transform themselves. It's a very beautiful, special country. It's a gem.
All right. Thank you very much for giving us this wonderful experience, and hope you continue to enlighten more and more people here in Taiwan.
Thank you.
Thank you.